Well, so much positives to take away from this outing. Looking at the numbers recorded, which is almost over 6 million votes and the margin of win that is less than 3 million. It would be safe to say that it was a hugely impressive outing and goes to show the commitment and efforts the obedience and the Labour Party took into that election. But regardless, you are not new to experiences like this. You were active in the Second Republic when you had purposeful leaders like ChiefAwolowo, and we know you are a devoted Awoist.
That is correct.
With the raging sentiments and noticeable despair, what would be the disposition of ChiefAwolowo in politics and party at a time like what you have in Labour Party at the moment?
Let me give you an example. I will not your eyes. After the 1979 federal election, in which the NPN was declared as a winner, a few months after the election, we were invited to a national conference held at Eco Hotels, I think, in Lagos, December 6, if I remember correctly, where the leader of the party delivered one of the most inspiring speeches that I've ever heard. And the speech is entitled Charter of Stability and Progress. Charter of Stability and Progress. The speech gave the philosophical background for the philosophy of the Unity Party of Nigeria. Started with an analysis of man, an analysis of what is man, an analysis of government, an analysis of the objective of government, concluding that the objective of government is to make the good things of life available to all the citizens without exception, and concluded that the failure of Nigerian governments is due to the failure to recognize the prime position of man in any government. And it says that any government that man is the initiator, I can borrow a few words, and accelerator of every form of human progress, both in production, in distribution, and exchange. Man is the initiator and accelerator. Therefore, any system of government that ignores man is basically in error, and is bound to fail, and is bound to be a bane rather than a blessing to the people. And that's the problem. So coming to answer your question, after listening to Awolowo, those of us who attended the lecture felt energized and inspired. And when we come out, as if we have won, because we stand on higher intellectual, moral, and philosophical pedestal than the MPN at that time. So, that was, when he calls us, you are sure you are in for an intellectual and feast that will uplift your personality and uplift your view of life. So what I see missing in the present political formation that is upcoming is, if you remove Peter Obi, there is really no Labour Party. I'm sorry to say. And I really don't know what is holding the leadership from, because if after this election and you leave everybody lying low for such a long time, people could be dispirited. Apart from the fact that they are being, people are being taken and lured with posts and so on and so forth. So I believe that the leadership needs to reinvigorate its members, particularly the obedience. And before the election, there was really no organized party organizational structure. The obedient movement constituted the structure. The labor movement organized themselves into security, into party agents, into everything. And some of them were not paid. Most of them were not paid. So there is absolute need right now to reorganize and re-energize those who made this this great sacrifice for the obedient movement, to demonstrate what Nigerians are capable of doing to bring out a new Nigeria of our dream.
Well, most of this is predicated on the leadership disposition. Most of the obedience, I would say that a bigger percentage of them are youths and may not have been exposed to this kind of orientation essentially. You are a sociologist. You understand human disposition and inclination to interactions. We cannot deny the despair of these dispirited youths arising from these 2023 elections. What should these youths be looking forward to, and what plausible activities should keep them afloat, considering the expedient politics ahead of them?
Leadership is key. Leadership. If the masses are left without leadership, it is dangerous. There is not mere apathy, a deliberate effort to disorient people and let them into avenues that, or into thought processes and actions that are not conducive to the development of this country, including the elite, not even only the youth, including some of the intellectual elites. This government that we are seeing today, that is in place today, is leading Nigeria into what I may call political Abilene, the Abilene paradox, whereby rational, intelligent gentlemen are all moving like sheep in one direction without properly analyzing. And because of the psychological phenomenon of groupthink, as identified by the Yale psychologist Jamin, groupthink that constrains people to think in a particular direction, where mind guards, just like putting you in a mental cage, and people are moving like sheep, even with highly intelligent people. That's the direction in which Nigeria is moving. There must be a moral force. There must be a counter force, where people can see that this is not the way. This is what is missing today in Nigeria. The people cannot mobilize, that is, the masses cannot be expected to mobilize themselves. That is a function of leadership. And I think that this is the critical role that the leadership of the obedient movement has to make, not even the Labour Party. Because I'm one of those who believe that Labour Party as it stands cannot lead until it is reorganized to infuse fresh blood, to infuse actual, revolutionary blood, to understand the urgency of the situation. Because a lot of the officers, with all due respect, that constitute the Labour Party at present were elected years back and belong almost to the same category as their counterparts in other political parties. And one of our most brilliant minds, or brilliant candidates in the last election at Biose, Mr. Udense Radiri, complained that the chairman of the Labour Party in Biose State was induced with 100 million naira to abandon the party. The obedient movement needs new leadership that will reinvigorate the party. During our own time, activities were scheduled. There are scheduled activities controlled activities. There's no question of you lying low and you don't know what is going to happen next. You know that in the next 3 months there's going to be a meeting. You know that in the next 6 months there's going to be a zonal meeting. You know that in the next 1 year there's going to... You have a plan of action to mobilize the people. The Labour Party and the LP have no means of, apart from the social media. Unlike their counterpart that control, unlike the other parties that control state television stations, national radio and television stations, APC, the leader of the APC is one of the biggest controller of the media houses in this part of the world. And I would have liked to suggest that the Labour Party needs a formal medium, such as a radio station, both national and international, so where youth can tune in and get information, where people can tune in and get information. So I think that this gap should be filled urgently by the leadership of the obedient movement and the Labour Party in order to hold together and further inspire those who produced this wonderful achievement in February and March 2023.
In practical terms, let's not overlook the fact that the Labour Party has achieved an unprecedented feat in this election. Where you were before this election and where you are now are miles and worlds apart. Burgeoning number of representatives in the National Assembly, a modest number of representatives in the state houses of assembly. The Labour Party has a control of states and the sitting governor. As an ardent believer in organized political leadership, what would be your advice and how much of impact or what would be the outlook if these elected representatives and the governor bind together, show purposeful and organized leadership?
It will make a great impact, no doubt. We don't really need, you need a very strong nucleus, a very strong base from which ideas and influences flow. And this is what is lacking. And I wouldn't say I'm discouraged, but I'm not particularly impressed. I've not had that fiery spirit so far. I've not had it so far from the members of the National Assembly, LP members in the National Assembly. I've not had a single word that presents the Labour Party point of view. I may be wrong, but I've not had one in the National Assembly. I know that the leadership of the APC and even the PDP as the major opposition party might be making systematic and deliberate effort to suppress the Labour Party voice. But I think that based on parliamentary privilege and parliamentary practice, each member has the opportunity to speak, though when recognized by the speaker. I have not seen such evidence. In fact, I won't say I'm disappointed. During the controversy over the 160 million SUV vehicles, I do not see positive comment in terms of that aligns with the philosophy of the Labour Party, egalitarian philosophy that wants to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor in Nigeria. And I pin this down still to leadership. If there is an LP caucus in the National Assembly, and if that caucus is in sync with a focused leadership of the Labour Party, I think because most of these members were just drawn, I would say by accident, to join the Labour Party. Some of them might not really be in sync with the philosophy of Mr. P2B. This is the time to build that base. And the National Assembly is the right place to build it, in my view. So I won't go as far as criticizing them, but I think they should do more in popularizing and pushing forward the philosophy, the political philosophy of the Labour Party. So far, it has not been done at the national level. But from all I have heard and read about Dr. Alex Oti in Abia State, I think I'm proud of him. And I think he's doing a marvelous job in turning the direction of government and of the society to a more egalitarian and productive society, because that is the bane of governments in Nigeria today, as I see it.
On an interesting note, the Obedience and the structured Labour Party has not shown encouraging cohesion and sync. You now have elected representatives and a sitting governor, but I do not think that the Obedience and the structured Labour Party are their best in terms of harmony. It is expected that we begin to see transformation and purpose. Let me say the dominant political party today, the APC, wasn't having this much elected members when they began their onslaught after the 2003 elections. From your experience with the UPN, what mindset should be at play to make Labour Party flourish and deliver on expectations?
When you say the mindset of people, the people are not just staying in one place as people. The people are dispersed and going about their various businesses. They need to be coordinated. Unlike what happened just prior to the election when the people engaged in self-mobilization. That is over. As at now, it is the, I've emphasized this, I hope I'm not overemphasizing it. It is the duty of leadership to coordinate and bring, forward, bring the people together and give them a sense of direction. The masses cannot organize themselves, unlike what happened during the election, and unlike what happened maybe during the NSAS movement, when the youth organized, and when they said there was no leadership. In a political party, there must be leadership. There must be a strong organizational structure of immense power from which directives flow. You cannot underestimate it. So if we're expecting that all the market women, all the youth in the universities, this and everybody going about this mess will organize themselves without the leadership of the party, it may be expecting too much from the masses. So I want to say once again that, and the structure of parties in Nigeria is such that, like Delta State, you cannot begin to organize on your own without the national. A local government cannot begin to organize without the state, because the flow of authority is from the national to the state and to the local and wards. So the wards cannot take the initiative to start telling the state and national what to do, but you can make suggestions. So we are saying that the delay, the silence of national leadership is dangerous, and action should be taken to continue to galvanize and bring together this immense force that exists among the masses that is waiting to be coordinated to achieve a particular objective for the good of Nigeria. That's what we're saying.
Well, it's always an interesting atmosphere having this interaction with you, Chris Biose. Immeasurable thanks for giving us your time, and let's do this.
I really appreciate you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you very much.